Hello, everybody. Welcome to From the Gut to the Heart, hosted by Karin Nahmani. My name is Larry Sands, and with me, as always, the wonderful redhead, fiery redhead. I love it, Karin Nahmani. Hello, how are you, Karin?
Hello. Hello and happy Sunday,
M-
Monday.
Monday,
Happy Easter.
happy Passover.
Happy Passover.
Yes,
Happy whatever. Happy spring start. And
yes.
oh, we're just great. It's 100 degrees here in LA. And yeah, kind of, where the rest of the world is crazy. We have some hot weather. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. I love
And
LA. I love LA in the
And
spring.
I love my red.
I do too. I do too. And is it before we get into our guest, is it that redheads have more fun? Because I know it's blondes, right? You always
Always.
have fun though.
I know, but you know something? It's so funny because when I turn back to my redhead, for whoever doesn't know me, I used to go with redhead for most of my life. Only when I came to America, I started to become blonde. So I'm not blonde from inside. I used to love my blonde, but you have to be that from inside. I'm so red from inside. And this year I decided I'm going to change something in my life. And
Love it.
the first thing I did is changing my color,
I
which
love it.
I love.
Yeah.
And it was like looking back in Corinne when she was like 19 and I'm
Yeah.
50. So it was like, wow. I'm like, oh my God, I'm back to my roots.
It
So
literally,
that's
literally.
fun. That's
That's awesome.
fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
So tell me
Mhm.
who's my guest today?
Oh man, Dr. Tom Ingegno, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. And I married a redhead and have two redheaded children.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
So it's a lot of fun.
fun is one way to call it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Kareen and Dr. Tom, he is an acupuncture, doctor of acupuncture. And what I think is kind of cool is Dr. Tom, you do Chinese medicine?
hmm
Is
You
that a
know,
safe thing to say?
Yeah, I prefer the term East Asian because the influence is really that whole region of the world, right? So yes, it all originated in China, but as it expanded over the thousands of years, it kind of picked up the flavor of what culture was there with a time frame, and then as it's spread west, or should I say east, through Korea and Japan, it picked up some of the local culture and flavoring. And there's certain unique things that happen there that, given this great time span, didn't happen anywhere else. And even modern day medical techniques that have been integrated with it from here in the West, the medicine is a living, breathing thing that has just been evolving. So I like East Asian a little bit better. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with Ayurvedic medicine from India. It's just kind of carving out, hey, we're a little bit further east than India. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you both. And so, uh, did does the Eastern medicine
Mhm.
the is that considered holistic, both to you, Dr. Tom, and Kareen?
Y-
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. I think the real goal of any holistic therapy, and in a lot of ways, most traditional practices, is it's not just symptom based, right? The idea is to look at you as a whole person. So Larry may
Mm.
come in for whatever. I can't sleep. I hurt my shoulder. I've got IBS. Larry, I'm not trying to call you out or anything here. I'm
Oh,
throwing
he
out things,
has. No.
You know what?
but like looking at this as who is Larry as a whole person, not just, oh, it's my stomach, it's my back, it's my neck, and not only do we want to address those symptoms, but hopefully look at how you're functioning at a root level. At least in the system of acupuncture I practice, we always want to get back to how do we build up the root, and then hopefully what'll happen is those symptoms improve before we even get to addressing them because we've helped build you up.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, if I may just say one thing. Yeah, you know me long time. I don't like the term holistic, because what
Mm,
is holistic? Let's face it. You know, the holistic medicine, as you call it, came long before the regular medicine. So it's not even. And what is holistic? Someone that put a robe in and blah blah something, so he's holistic? No, holistic is the combination, like Dr. Tom said, it's a combination of actually all medicines
Mhm.
together to start to treat the root, not the symptoms, obviously. And holistic is basically treatments that didn't go with one medicine, but did with another. We treat the root. We continue to treat the emotional. So it's holistic. It's a triangle. It's um, medical, physical, and spiritual. I mean, it comes. It has to come in three levels. It can come only one. That's why they call it whole. Whole is whole thing, not half thing. Not just take antibiotic and get rid of it,
yeah.
because it will come back. And what I love about Chinese medicine, and we call it Chinese medicine or acupuncture, let's call the baby in his own name, acupuncture. Acupuncture is a big, big leg. I mean, has a big legacy, and it treats symptoms and it treats the root of the symptoms, but with channels. So the body is channeling up. And at the end of the day, and this is what I'm telling my client, is that they were the first one beside us that actually asked the right question and actually treat the cone as the basic thing for the entire body.
Yeah.
Correct
Yeah.
me if I'm wrong.
Well, really quick, Dr. Tom, I've known Kareem for,
Mhm.
gosh, quite a while, for several years now. And it's funny you should say IBS. I have learned everything from Kareem about gut health, and I watch what I eat, and I
Mhm.
don't mix certain things because of the gas, because of the bloating. And I find it very amazing that the gut is really like the central
Mhm.
system for our thoughts and our minds, and because
Yeah.
everything, you do store stuff in the gut. um but now when we and can you
Just ask the question
Uh,
when someone comes to you,
yeah.
and this is actually for our audience,
Yeah. Yeah.
why it's so important to look at the gut first before anything else.
So I'll give you some historical references
Yeah.
here. So one of my favorite texts out of China, and this is, I forgive me, I don't remember what time frame it was, but it wasn't modern. Was
Hey,
something
we're not
called
historian.
was something called the treatise on the spleen and stomach, right? And in Chinese medicine, spleen rules digestion, and we can make an argument that it was actually the pancreas and the spleen together based on their functions that we list in traditional medicine. um, but basically, that was the whole thing, fixing the middle first, right? We have the school of the middle out of Japan. We have several acupuncturists and famous people who were practitioners that all would work on the gut health first, right? So even before they would give Chinese herbal remedies, the idea was, if you can't absorb it, I'm just wasting the herbs, right? So how do
Sure.
we do this, right? And we do it through a combination of diet and exercise and watching how we interact with nature. And certainly we've gone so far off the rails with that. But if we look from an evolutionary standpoint, our first brain was the gut before we were like mammals and things like that. When we have gut instincts, we even use those expressions in modern English, right? In and Dr. Kareen said this, our intellect in Chinese medicine, the yi, our ability to think, comes from gut health, right? How many people, what's one of the biggest symptoms with an abnormal gut? Brain fog.
Mm, Mm-hmm.
right? So
True.
yes, this is traditional in most systems, that if we can't think well, our gut is out of balance. If
Mm.
we're overthinking, if we're worrying, that's the emotion associated with it
Same
in
thing.
Asian medicine, right? You know, so all of these things are a fundamental element of being alive, and not having our gut in check, not having it working the way we need to. How can we make good quality blood? You know, we say qi and blood in Chinese medicine. So if we're not making good quality qi and blood, all of our other functions go to hell. You know,
Mm.
we're not thinking, we're not sleeping, cycle gets irregular in women. We can't put on muscle, we can't retain our health, we get sick more often, our immune system is suffering. Our psycho-emotional health takes a toll too. We're anxious, we're depressed. You know, but if our gut is solid, that's how we build that energy within us, and how we radiate that out to support all functions and support healthy being in our communities.
Mm. Mm.
He said it right.
I know, I know. I know, Kareen, because, one thing about what you do, Kareen, is colonics and cleaning out and things like that. But it also comes down to the emotional well-being, right? And that's really straightforward, I think, in a going in and seeing what you do and how you do it. But Dr. Tom, when you talk about like gut health,
Mhm.
and where do you start? Because I know where Kareen starts,
Yeah.
but when somebody comes in, and where you end up, Kareen,
There
but
is
which is
only
great.
one way to start it. Yeah.
Exactly. But with you, Dr. Tom,
Mhm.
when people come in with different symptoms, what is your process of finding out what because I know Kareen's bottom line, right? How do you bottom line figure out where to start?
Okay, so traditionally there's pillars of diagnosis, right? The big one is questions. People fill out an intake for us that they're like,
Mm.
why the hell, I told you my back hurts. Why are you asking about how many bowel movements I've had? Why are you asking me about my energy levels throughout the day, right? In Chinese medicine, we have 12 major channels. Each one of those gets 2 hours. If you say, hey, every day after lunch, about 1 p.m., this happens. Okay, well, that's the heart meridian. What is that associated with? Do we need to explore that? We do palpation. So technically, I practice a Japanese style of acupuncture, going back to the Edo period, so about the 1600s. A vocation for the blind was acupuncture. So rather than looking, because we look at the tongue, we look at the color under people's eyes. So many people, if I stuck my tongue out, it would probably have a coat of coffee on it, right? Throwing off the results, right? If you look under somebody's eyes, well, one, I'm colorblind, so I'm not so good at that. But two, how many people have makeup on, right? So you might not be getting that true tone there.
Mm.
Palpation, we actually press on the abdomen, we break up the abdomen into different zones, right? So we're doing all of this, we're taking your pulses, we have 6 positions on each wrist, one for each one of those 12 channels, and we're looking at strength and weakness, and then a bunch of really poorly translated into English adjectives to describe the qualities of the pulse. Most of us goes, this one's stronger or weaker than this one, is this one stronger or weaker than this one?
Mm.
And that's kind of how we tease out that our jumping off point. I know we said all of this. I know these are the symptoms. I know these are the signs that we're looking at. But what is that weakest channel? Can we raise that up? And what'll end up happening is all those other channels start to balance out. And
Mm.
it makes going after those symptoms a little bit easier. And it makes fortifying that patient as a whole person easier after.
Man, how do you look at that, Kareen? And because I know doing one of anything really isn't enough.
Mhm.
When you talk about like treating a whole person, right? Obviously, when you treat a symptom, but what is that like for you, Kareen, in how
And
you operate?
and this is exactly the most important part that I really want people to understand when they listen to a podcast like this, is that when someone goes to Dr. Tom first, let's say, he will map out, he will treat to balance every system. But there is things that um, it can happen, like releasing the colon. It will give some herbs to do so. So the herbs will clean you, but they're not going to clean you like colonics will. So someone like Dr. Tom will ask the right question, will treat with acupuncture, will balance the system, will balance the channel, because as we talked before, we want to go to the roots. So we're not treating the back pain. He will treat the back pain too, but by balancing other things, by releasing some other points, other channels, the back pain will his. So he's gonna send to massage as well. He's gonna send to colonics. He's gonna give some support of supplement. And this is what holistic means. You have support system around the treatment. So there is no quicker fixer or fixer upper from any medicine. It's a combination of yin and yang from both things, from all the medicines. So the way I look at people, and Dr. Tom said the same thing, when a person comes to me, first of all, he will fill up whatever needs. Now 90% they lie. I'm so when I'm saying lying, it's not like lying, but it's not telling you the whole truth.
And
So when I will ask, how many times a day do you go to the restroom, or when was the last time, they will tell me 5 times. Oh, I go 5 times. Dr. Tom will touch it and feel it's not even one time, but it's okay. And that's when, because a person never gonna estimate for the low. They're always gonna estimate a good job, and only and only when you actually see. Well, I see the truth because I see what comes out, and then I start to ask the questions, right? And then you find that, oh, I'm taking Ozempic. Did I need to mention that? Because that is not medication. Now that's why I'm saying, like, people intend to lie more about what so we have to look at everything, which I'm sure when someone comes to my place, I look at them as a whole person. So I look at their eyes, iridology, because I take a look really careful. I look at the skin, because the skin tell me pretty damn good thing about their health, what they ate, toxins like pretty much everything, even through makeup. And that's the beauty of it. Yeah. Because when they put makeup, it just looks even more horrible than it actually is, because they block in everything. I look at the tongue, I look at the nails and the skin. So I always have some signs. And then obviously you've been in my colonics. I put my hands on their colon. Yeah. So I press, I don't know how, I wish I knew how to to measure pulse, but I have different things. I'm a Röntgen when it comes to that. I just put my hand and I can feel what's going on. So I have different vibe to it, but this is the basic. Now, both me and Tom will agree that today more and more MD doctor actually ask those questions because they didn't. And only from answering, just gut health questionnaire, you can have, I want to say, and you're probably going to agree with me, 70% of the problem. You can actually have it. And maybe then you can start to balance things. So then you can ask the emotional, questions, because both me and Tom were very on the personal touch base. And it takes a minute for someone to open up. And sometimes they don't. And it's layer by layer by layer to get into the root of the problem, because many problems are, in direct line with your emotions and direct line with your well-being and whatever happened to you, and it goes back to your childhood as well. So, and it goes back to your family, your immediate family, your mom, your father. And if it's someone that, for example, if it's a woman that was abused, the first place she's gonna have a problem, it's her gut, first place. And then in acupuncture, they probably gonna connect more to the ovaries and sexual, but organs and hormonal level. I don't know if it's that correct or not, Dr. Tom.
Well, no, I mean, you said something, and it's funny even when it's a different system, there's so much overlap, right? When somebody's been abused, the mother is associated with digestion, so that would be spleen and stomach, and then the father would be the lung and large intestine, which is very interesting, right? Because you're saying that, yeah, colon hydrotherapy can help with this, and Chinese medicine would 100% agree with that.
Wow.
And that's what happened. We do send, how many times I send my own client to my best friend Sharon, because she's an amazing acupuncturist. She specialized in hormonal treatments and fertility. But we send a lot of clients back and forth because colonics will not be just enough. You need to do, but I can just, balance some things, but in more emotional level. And sometimes, like Dr. Tom said, it's not just necessary that it's going to be just in your stomach. It can be in your head. It will be probably in your hormones. It's going to be in your lymph drain. So you need a different balance of it. And that's when acupuncture is amazing. And when both system works together, when both, medical meds work together, that's the holism. And this is the beauty about it, because again, acupuncture is not going to be just needles. And this is for all the audience. It can be cupping, and it will be, oh my God, my brain fogged up. It will be massage, and it will be, because I'm using so many of Chinese herbs, it will be a lot of other things. And I'm going to ask you, Dr. Tom, the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And if I'm so scared of needles, how can I do acupuncture?
I think you said it right. East Asian medicine is a very big animal. So I wrote a book on cupping therapy. Moxibustion is older than actually acupuncture. Before we had the ability to work with needles.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so we do a lot of moxa in our clinic. And that's an herb that we burn on or near the surface of the skin. The most common herb, the one that kind of took foothold and kind of has an amazing amount of research behind it is mugwort. It grows all over the planet, in damp river valleys. I mean, we could take a walk right now, probably in LA, and there'd be a Mexican species, a Californian species, and a couple of others. And here on the East Coast, we have a bunch of different species, and all of them can be used to make moxa. The best stuff comes from a mountain in Japan, but it's people have fights about it, like wine country. Like, how can Napa have as good wine as France? Oh, well, it does, but this
and it works. I use it a lot, and it works. I use it a lot in some cases. I will use it direct on the stomach while I'm doing colonics, and it's amazing. The reaction is very fast. It's like a cigar that you burn. I mean, beside the fact it smells like weed.
You don't know what weed smells like then.
I know.
Yeah, there's so many different techniques too, and you can even do some things to mediate that smell depending on The cigar, the Moxa pole, they'll call it a few different things, is probably the most common one that you see, and it's a very versatile tool. But needling directly or Moxa directly on the body, one of the things, especially for gut health, is taking a slice of ginger, and you can put that around the belly on different acupuncture points and burn the Moxa in little cones that you roll right on top. I feel bad.
What?
You can see I'm looking around,
Wait,
and I don't
Oh,
have
I'll
any.
show it.
wait.
No, I'll show it to you because I'm using it. I
Yeah,
My
said I'm using a lot of Chinese medicine, but
what?
yeah,
My
yeah.
mind is blown because you can put it on and put it in different places.
Yeah, so when we process this, right? So if she has a stick, that is like probably the least processed one, right? So that one's compressed. That one's a little bit, that's going to burn a little bit hotter. Sometimes, depending on the brand, they'll be mixed with other herbs, and you can get ones that are a little bit more. That's the traditional one, right? So what we would do is we'd slide that green sleeve off, and on the inside is rice paper, and it's rolled up in there. It's great stuff. Now it does have some really thick smoke. If we burn a lot of it, I normally joke that we're electing a new pope because it's a very Italian Catholic joke.
here it
Yeah.
is.
And we
Wow.
can do a lot of different things here. We can hold this over specific points, or you can use it to paint the channel, right? So I'm sure and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but if she's using it for colonics, while she's doing that, you can literally just circle around the belly. You can go up and
That's
down
what
and
I
really,
do.
yeah. It and it feels great. The heat. Now, this is the crazy thing. The amount of research that came out of Asia on this, absolutely insane. It burns in a far infrared spectrum. So we know far infrared heat, just like a sauna, it penetrates in, it heats your body from the inside out. The herbal properties of that, antiviral, antifungal, anti-malarial, and I'm not making that up. In 2015, a Chinese researcher was given the Nobel Prize in medicine. I believe she shared it with ivermectin's creators. I know that's a loaded drug right there. But she saved 70,000 people in Thailand from malaria by extracting one compound called artemisinin out of that herb. Right. So, and it's called Artemisia from Artemis, the Greek goddess. Right. So she's often depicted covered in
Yeah.
this. The Greeks used it. The Romans use it. Native Americans use it. It is worldwide. It is absolutely my favorite, maybe my second favorite herb, depending on whether or not I'm using something to go to sleep. But it is one of my favorite herbs, and it has so much rich history globally. It is amazing. It is a gift. I'm kind of an atheist, but I'll say it's a gift from God here, because
It
it does
is.
so much. And the applications are insane, right? We even have some links to it causing longevity based on lengthening telomeres by actually burning it over specific points. Now, that research comes from the 30s. It's a little sketchy, but we have historical case studies of acupuncturists using it for thousands of years and living well into their hundreds and still treating. So it's pretty amazing. I can't say
What
enough about it.
what you've been saying, Tom, and this is something I'm trying to explain, a lot of my clients or colleagues, because, it's a battle for years who was here first,
Mhm.
the chicken or the egg,
Yeah.
because it's not really who was here first, because whoever was here first is the herbs. This is
Mhm.
Mother Nature. The herbs come first. Every medication we have made, it's made by the complexion of the herbs first, and
Mhm.
then they add the chemical to it so they can just speed up the treatment.
Or we can patent it. If it's synthesized, it can be patented. If it's a plant, you can't
Right.
patent it, right? So they want one compound because I
Mm.
can own that one compound. I can't own the rights to that plant. But like, believe me, let's not take on the pharmaceutical
But yeah, yeah,
industry
yeah.
right now.
We're definitely
I'm
we're
not ready for that
definitely
fight.
not going. No, no, no. And I'm saying we're definitely not going there. But I want that people will understand that there is no right and wrong. There
Mhm.
is uh the medical, the holistic medicine is slower. It's not something it's not instant. It's not something that you're gonna press a button and it's gonna happen. It's a process. When you take a herb, when you do acupuncture, when you do colonics, it's a process that will happen if you listen to our instruction first and you actually do and you actually treat, you will have result and healing will happen slow, but it's going to happen for a long time. That means we're going to get rid of the root, not the symptoms. And that's, it's a very important thing to understand versus any type of medication that will act fast. Also, if I'm going to give you a herb, it will take that herb time to go into your system to actually work. So it is a process, not a fast time. It's not instant. So for those who looks for instant and they think that acupuncture will poke a needle and hope that all their trouble will go away, it's not for you guys. If you want to treat yourself, to balance yourself, because you don't have to be sick. You can actually go to acupuncture once a week just to balance, to feel good, to haze stress, decrease stress, in this crazy world we're living in, to make sure your yin and yang are actually working together. This is the this is the medicine for you, is a balanced medicine. It's an aiming, health, maintaining health for life. So it's not something you do once and that's it. You're always going to we will balance one system after the other. The same way I do with colonics, we balance one system after the other. So when people ask me, what's the best thing to do? Is cleaning my colon or cleaning the liver or cleaning from parasite? And I'm pretty sure you heard this year a lot of things. I have parasite. I took parasite cleanse. You love those people that do cleansing by themselves. They're their own doctor. Google is the mighty doctor that told them that they're going to die. They have parasite and they didn't even have a stool test or a blood test, for heaven's sake, to actually make sure they do have the parasite. What is the risk of doing cleanses you shouldn't be doing?
That's a really good question. And that's a really good point about, because now, everybody on TikTok is an expert. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what they're an expert at. They just have their own cleanse and it works for them. They have their own thing. And I think that's what's one of the thing that really bothers me, is because people that are looking for ways to actually feel better from the inside out, they do this stuff without even doing any research. And Dr. Tom, I know with Karin, that stuff really bothers me. But is there a way that, or does that happen to you? Is it harder to do acupuncture on yourself and go, hey, this is how I do acupuncture or cupping?
Yeah, it was so with acupuncture, people ask you that, oh, do you treat yourself? And it's like trying to give yourself a massage, right? The
Uh-huh.
idea is a little bit to be more relaxed, and be taken care of. So in a pinch, yes, I will put needles in myself, but
Really?
yeah, it's so
Yeah, boy, when you don't
it's
have,
it's hard to get
choice.
to the areas you want to. And look, if I bang myself up in the clinic and then I got to keep going, okay, what can I do quickly? I mean, suction cups, we do mainly fire cupping, traditional cups, but these little guys, I mean, they go on just by pressing. So even if I really
Mm.
needed to throw one on my shoulder and lean against the wall to get it to squeeze, it's dirty. It's not the way you want to get treated, but it'll get you through. Um, I do think it is necessary to get treated as a practitioner, though. I gotta say, this is one of those, the cobbler's kids have no shoes, where I'm normally
Right.
very busy at clinics, so the only time I could lay down is probably when my associate's working, and that's not going to happen. So it's you go a little bit without, but as Kareem was saying earlier, East Asian medicine is this huge beast. So there's a lot of meditation at home, there's a lot of qigong at home, there's a lot of meridian stretching that I do, and I could reach around in the office here and pull about 30 or 40 different devices that I use in my own home and for my own health and well-being that are not going to replace acupuncture, but at least keep me going day to day.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, Larry, I mean, I was laughing before because, like I said, I started my world as massage teacher. So I'm very well on hands-on. So I do massage and shiatsu and reflexology and all that. You know how many times when I had back pain or shoulder, I walked with a cupping on my shoulder, and it's like I'm like cupping myself, or I'm asking my client to cup me, and I do my own colonics on myself, but that's when I don't have a choice. So when people ask me, "Oh, you do it yourself?" Yeah, I do it weekly base and sometimes every 2 weeks because, as Tom said, we don't have time because we're when I finish at 6 o'clock, I'm like, damn, I mean, I want to go somewhere. I want to finish with it.
Yeah.
Now, it's really important to treat ourselves. So, whatever we can do, he will poke himself on his hand, on his leg, on areas that obviously he can poke himself on the back, but he will do whatever he can see and help, first aid thing.
Hmm.
The real thing is, as you know practitioners, it's so important to treat ourselves, because if we don't treat ourselves, how can we treat others? If I'm gonna come with so low energy and so out of it and like bloat and so big and so, how can I radiate? You radiate what you are. At the end of the day, this is the radiation you will have. um so it's so important. And no, people don't use moxas and don't poke yourself and don't be your own doctor. That's why we have professional. They know what to do. And don't save money by cleansing areas you don't need to. And like I asked before, Dr. Tom, what can you suggest the audience about, cleansing, system they shouldn't clean? What is the risk by doing
Well,
that?
I think if you took this to the extreme, would you get chemotherapy if you didn't have cancer? Right?
True.
Like if there's
I
nothing
I
wrong, and this
feel
is the same
people
thing about
are dumb.
supplements. This is the same thing with supplements. You might hear,
True.
look, this supplement is great for this. Okay, do you have a problem there? If you don't, you're wasting time, you're wasting money, and you're possibly taxing a system that's working fine, right? Look, good or bad, right? The liver has to process most of the compounds that we take in. And in most
Yeah.
cases, it does a fabulous job. Now, if it's backed up, if we're not clearing out like we should, if we're not processing those things, hydrolyzing, conjugating them, and getting them out of the tissue, then we need interventions. But if we start putting in things that we don't need, right? I tell this story because there's a company that makes a product called Kava Forte, which is this
Yeah.
strong anti-pain compound. It comes from kava kava, which is in the pepper family. It's from the South Pacific. It's a drink for relaxation. Well, I didn't have any of the Kava Forte, and I had a stuck neck. I mean, everything: needles, acupuncture, cryotherapy. I did everything, and I was dying. I mean, it was causing a massive headache, and I had to work the next day. So I said, well, I've got loose liquid kava that you would drink traditionally out of the coconut shell. Let me drink a ton of that. Well, there's a problem with that. Yes, it's relaxing. but it also has a little
No,
bit of
you
liver
can't work.
toxicity.
Oh,
So, the next few days, not only did I have a sore neck, now I had vomited. I had
oh,
felt horrible because I gave myself a little bit of too much
wow.
in an attempt to heal one thing because I was trying to help something,
Oh,
and that wasn't the modality that was going to work for me. So, fortunately, I lived and learned. Hopefully, I learned. Uh, but I won't be doing that again. But this is one of the dangers. I tried to use something to help myself that I didn't actually need.
wow.
And I'd rather tell an embarrassing story about myself than throw one of my patients under the bus, or have somebody else go, oh God, he singled me out. No, no, no,
Right.
no. Tom's done plenty of dumb stuff to himself. A lot of times in experimentation, to see what would happen. But even then, I'm glad. I'm happy to be a lab rat as long as I'm not going to hurt myself. But on the
True.
same token, when you go in and you try to clean yourself out, and you don't need to clean that, you're making more work for your body.
If
It's
if
true.
I
Now,
can jump in because I know Kareem, we're gonna try to wrap up, but
Mhm.
go
yeah, but
ahead.
but I have one question.
Yeah.
What is the risk of doing acupuncture?
Oh,
Because that's the main question that
Okay.
everybody is like asking. There is obviously a lot, and there is probably some people that shouldn't do that. But
Mhm.
if it's Chinese medicine is good for everybody, those who's afraid of needles, there is something else because I know there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So here's what I would say. If you see a licensed acupuncturist, if somebody has been trained and credentialed, there's only a few red flags. The most common thing that happens is small bruise.
Okay.
Normally I get one of those. I think I'm like one every 5 or 6 thousand needles I put in. So it's not very common. Some people are a little bit more heavy handed. Maybe it's more common for them. Most of the major risks, uh, only occur when somebody is not a licensed acupuncturist, right? So
Okay.
the majority of issues now, if you're pregnant, we definitely want to know that there's certain points that are contraindicated
Of
classically.
course.
mm,
But this would be something that you would tell anybody you were seeing, right? You can't do certain types of massage if you're pregnant. You can't, yeah, we don't want to rock the boat when you're developing a fetus.
Yeah, obviously.
That's going to be the biggest risk group. Other than that, we modify. Acupuncture is meant to fit the person that's getting treated. So if there's certain issues that somebody says, oh, if you have an open wound, we're not going to put needles in that, even if there's a point under that,
Obviously.
but these are obvious things that
But like
unfortunately.
I know I should know better. But
Yeah.
like epilepsy,
mm,
Epilepsy should
um,
be okay. Now, what I would say is you might see, depending on how controlled it is, you may see an
and that's
increase
the
initially.
biggest question is like
Yeah.
how controlled things are. And please, people, don't lie when don't try to be, the best, version
yeah.
of yourself. Like, oh, I am diabetic, but I'm like, no. If
Y-
you have a condition, please, we don't judge. And the same goes for, and this is a really important one because there is a lot of people on painkiller
Mm.
addict.
mm,
Addiction doesn't mean you need to be out of it. You can be addicted to something, and you know you can't really see it right away. We will see it as we go deeper, but we as therapists, we want to help you. We don't want to cause any more trouble, you know. So addiction, what would you do with a lot of painkiller and so that this is something because obviously you're going to
Yeah.
see it right away, the
This
same
is
as I will.
this is interesting because I mentioned that in the beginning that acupuncture has been a living, breathing medicine. One thing that it fundamentally roots it to the U.S., and I'm going to tell you something absolutely crazy. Tupac's stepfather was a Chinese medicine practitioner. And in the 70s, as part of the Black Panthers, he set up a clinic to treat addiction of heroin. And his results, after years
Were
and years of
amazing.
research, more effective than methadone. And that protocol is an ear acupuncture protocol, and it's taught to therapists, talk therapists. And it's done around the country now and in other countries.
Wow.
And it's 5 needles in each ear, and it is a beautiful treatment. And you always have to. There's an expression in China: when drinking water, remember the source. He was the source of this. They kind of whitewashed him out because of his association with the Black Panthers, and I think that is a horrible injustice that needs to be righted. The man helped thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. And in his legacy, so many people have gotten trained in that protocol. They use it in the Baltimore detention center down here. So it's being used in prisons, it's being used in rehab centers, and just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And for those people that really want to get clean, it works so well. I use it for stop smoking in my clinic. But yeah,
Yeah, I remember that they used to do it on the ear for stop smoking
yeah,
and for diet and
yeah.
for
The
like,
diet one is a little weird for me, and it really depends. Those points do work well. But you also have to understand the fundamental underlying, as you were talking about before, right? Is this an
yeah,
emotional
it's not
eating?
one
Is
thing.
this, yeah, are they literally addicted to sugar? Is it
Mhm.
gut health? Do they have yeast overgrowth that's just flooding their brain with you need more sugar, you need more sugar? Yeah, you have to address all these things. Even alcoholism, you can use this for. Gambling, I've used it
Wow.
for. It
Wow.
is crazy, but when you get it right, when the pattern matches what you're treating, you get some really great success.
So before we wrap up, this is like, I want to kind of say it in few words. What is the average person want to look in acupuncture? How, how helpful tips you can give for someone that want
Mhm.
to have acupuncture in their life as maintenance health, or they want to treat certain problem,
Yeah.
and how to know that you're in good hands. I always say go with your gut if about good hands, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the feeling you have to have some mutual, something.
Yeah. So like I'll give you the kind of external, right? Make sure they're state licensed if you're in the US, right? Every state has roughly similar requirements for licensure. I think there's still a couple of states that don't require licensing. Make sure they went to an accredited school. Uh, and then after that, Shudo Sensei, who, like I said, passed away, he was 94, I think last month or 2 months ago, used to say acupuncture is an expression of humanity. And sometimes the word your gets added in front of humanity.
Mm.
Make sure you get along with that practitioner, right? There's a practitioner for everybody. I'm not the right person. If you want a quiet Zen treatment, yeah, I meditate a lot, but I'm animated. I'm loud. That's being, an Italian
You're
American from New
me.
York. I
Y-
mean, it's a
you're
certain,
me.
yeah. So if you wanna come in, I'm probably gonna tell you stories. I'm probably gonna joke. I'm gonna over explain what I do because I think demystifying the process doesn't devalue it, right? It's just, can I show you how this works in a way that you can understand because you didn't go get a degree in this. But some people just want to lay there and trust the process. That's great too. I can shut up. I tend not to. But some practitioners are much more quiet. Maybe that's what you want. Some people don't want to see a male. Hey, that's okay
uh,
too. I'm not gonna,
mm.
especially if you're coming in and you have trauma from being sexually assaulted or something. Maybe being in the room with a 200-pound dude is not what you
Mm.
want to do. That is
Right.
fine. I'm not going to take offense to that. You do have practitioners that do specialize, and I'll push back a little on that, saying the specialty is East Asian medicine, and if you read the person right, it doesn't matter what they're there for. But look online. I mean, it's very quick. Just don't look at reviews. Look at their training. Look at their background. Look at their philosophy on life. You can find somebody that makes sense to you, and chances are that's the right person for you to see.
Man.
Actually, I'm saying call the person. Call.
Yeah.
You know how many times client of mine said the same thing? I called 10 offices. You were the first one that actually answered,
Hmm.
and something about your voice
Yeah.
said, come, I'm good. Like I'm in good hands. You answered I mean, people, if a practitioner doesn't answer your questions, just hang up.
Yeah.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah, and actually, I will throw this in because I know Karin. She is Tom. If you're anything like Karin, hardest working people I know, always working. But I know as an outsider looking in, as a patient, right? Because I've talked to Karin about different things and uh, things going on. I've
You,
questions,
you can
but
see.
looking at you guys, professionals, right? Obviously, is two things I know. To be honest and open is probably the biggest and most important things when it comes, I know, to Karin and especially you, Dr. Tom, because
Hmm.
you don't want to do something that will harm somebody. So
Yeah.
it's highly important. But then also with that last bit that you both were talking about finding somebody that you're comfortable with. I think that's even more important because there are some people with bad vibes,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and you can't do anything about that. But it just, I think when people are in pain, they want something that can happen right now because that's what we're used to.
Hmm.
And I think when it gets to that point, I think people will just search and search and search. So here's what I do know. We have probably only touched the surface about
Oh
what
yeah.
you guys do. And I think we Dr. Tom, is we need to have you back on
I'd be happy to.
and talk because I think it's like this. You guys work hand in hand. You can't have
Mm.
one, I think, without the other, and vice versa. To have that holistic, feel good moment that we all look for, and to be healthy, because that's what it's really there for. Dr. Tom, you are located in Baltimore,
Yep.
right? at,
Yep.
at Charm City Integrative Health in Baltimore. Your links will be in the description.
Hmm.
Kareem, you are at Pure Center in Los Angeles, California. You're going to have all your links in the description. People, please. I see this. Don't listen to TikTok. Call the professionals, please. And you guys obviously take insurance, Kareen. I know, sometimes you do,
We
sometimes you
don't
don't.
have insurance. I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah, yeah,
this type of practice I do doesn't take insurance. And Tom's practice, they do take insurance. But again, this is something that happened like in the past, I want to say 10 years, 15 years.
yeah.
The same as,
It's gotten better. I've been in the
Good.
field for 25
yeah,
years, and
yeah.
there was
It's
always
getting
some
better.
coverage, but yeah.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, whatever you do, whatever the audience, whatever you do, ask questions. I always say, ask, ask, because if not, you're not going to know. And second, don't be your own doctor. Trust
Right.
me,
Right.
doesn't work.
And I would
You can do
assume,
certain things.
right. And I would assume you guys have really heard it all. The good, the bad, the weird.
And the bacteria.
Exactly. Exactly. As we wrap up, Dr. Tom, Kareen, we are not finished with this conversation. I'd like to do a little bit more in depth because obviously this is a great overview of you, kind of
Let's
Dr.
ask
Tom.
the audience. Yeah, let's ask the audience what subject they want us to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe is acupuncture can help them, and
Mm-hmm.
that could be a great thing.
That would be a great
With
thing, and have you
both.
back on and It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great
That sounds great. Yeah.
it's a great start. It's a great
Thank
start.
you so much, Dr. Tom,
Oh,
for
thank you so much for
being
inviting
in
me.
my, yeah, and happy Easter, everybody, all the audience. Yeah, acupuncture is amazing. I live with it, and it's amazing. You can find great doctors out there. Don't forget, everything starts from inside out, starts in your gut. We're not the first one to say that. That's the first brain, as we like to call it, second brain. But yeah, that's where you want to start treating. And yeah, be well, be happy. Happiness is the key for everything. That's,
Hmm.
most
Yep.
important.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Dr. Tom, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
And everybody, just remember, take care of your gut because it's the only one you got. Till next time.